come on, we just show up in this body, one day, since we remember, and as they told us that we were born, but we didn't even know if we were born. We can disappear in any time. We have the perception that we are in the head, but we don't really know where we are, We are interacting with each other. At the same time, we have like a radio saying random things like all the time there. And then we meet each other and we're like, how you doing? I'm doing super good. It's like, no, it's normal that, this is crazy. This is a fucking trip, Like,
Join the journey, stay for a while.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of KohPhanCast. Just to clarify, usually between making the video and making the introduction to the video, I have a couple of days just to be able to reflect on the video, describe my guest as best as possible. And this time around, for this episode, between the interview and the intro production, I got hit by a car. Oopsie poopsie. The car hit me straight up, and I got some scratches on my leg, as you can see, and some on my arm, but it's okay, and it's a miracle. And I just wanted to stop everything and be able to tell you that, please guys, drive slow, drive with a helmet, follow the rules. You have nowhere to rush. It's all good. Just slow and steady will get you as safe as possible. Let's get back to the episode. This week, my mentor, my family, one of my best friends, Rakel Lopez. Rakel is owner of yoga schools all around the world. She is the author of Tales for Your Inner Child, a book that I read really recently and is amazing. She's a businesswoman and inspirational speaker. She is just great. Let's get to it. Guys, thank you so much. Please like, share, subscribe to the channel. Let's get back to the episode. Bye. Right now.
Yeah, but before we start, can we do something?
Always.
Yeah. Can we take a moment to do a very Koh Phangan thing, like let's inhale.
Oh, shit. I'm all for it.
And then exhale. And then let's do something. Let's ask that whatever we talk here is gonna be for a higher purpose. It's gonna be serving, but the most important thing is that it's gonna be fun.
Yes, it is.
We're gonna enjoy it. It's gonna be no bullshit. Just authentic, connecting moment for whoever can use it.
I already done my part. Bringing you here. All the rest is... How are you, Rakel?
I'm good.
Now take it a little bit further. No, you can sit calmly. Just take it a little bit closer to you.
Hi.
How are you, Rakel?
I'm good.
So usually I'm starting those by complimenting my guest.
Okay.
And I've been thinking about how I want to compliment you for the past couple weeks.
You compliment me every day.
I know, and I have so many things that I can compliment you for, but this time I will choose like the delicate balance you created between being vulnerable and owning the world like you do. And I think you're a beautiful example of being able to, how would I put it, allowing yourself to just exist while having sometimes stress and sometimes anxiety, but looking at
a lot of it sometimes.
We're all humans, and just allowing yourself to experience things without like giving another input of how I feel and what does it mean, and just allowing it to happen.
I can't believe you start saying delicate. Like it's not something people call me very often, and I'm very grateful that you invite me to come here, not because we are doing this, but because we become friends,
Yeah.
And you had the chance to see that side of me, and that was your first word. That's why I was like, he said delicate, and that really touched me. Thank you.
100%, because I got a little, how would I say it, like a little peek inside your brain past 2 weeks, I think, maybe
Good luck.
more. We know each other for a long time, but only now I've seen like the actual depth
Maybe people don't know we are neighbors.
that you have to you. And I'm like, oh my God, you're a national treasure. Okay? Take it or leave it.
I love you. Thank you. I take it.
And people that watch the show knows that this book was here past couple weeks. And we will get to that because you're an author, you're a businesswoman, you have yoga schools all over the world. You have all these things that I know, like, to you have this, you don't want to connect what you've done and who you are too much, because who you are is so much more than what you've done. And when people treat you by, making your cover what you've done and not who you are, it can get kind of annoying.
Yeah.
You know?
Me personally, I want to live in a world where our values is not based in our achievements. Talking as an achiever, But I think when we are really connected with who we are beyond what we achieve in the world is when we really can go beyond, what people expect from us, And these have like a double face. And I know because I've been there, being the person that received things like, oh, you inspire me a lot, look what you create, or if you make a big business or project. But to me, it's very important to know that I'm so much more that what I achieve in my life, That's the effect of the cause of the connection,
Come on.
Okay.
It's gonna be an easy one. So let's start from now, go back and go forward, okay?
Yeah, how back?
How do you see yourself? Because I see this whole thing that is Rakel Lopez. And I wonder how you perceive yourself. Like, maybe we give a little bit of background on who you are before for the...
Which of all of them?
My God, I don't even know how to start myself. I can talk about so many things that...
Okay. I think I will go to maybe a little bit of story of my life.
The floor
And
is
I
yours.
think there is something very significant in my life, and that I think it created a big impact in my life, that it was not belonging. Being since I was a kid, too deep for my family, make too many questions, too deep for the school. They kicked me out of the 2 schools of my neighborhood because they will say I was not a good girl, but I will say I was too curious for them, in every level. So I received from many sides, from my parents that I understood after years that all those affirmations that were coming from maybe not knowing themselves, and I completely understand, why they were saying that and what is their background to act like that. But yeah, my father used to tell me very often, if you don't study, if you don't follow these lines, you're not going to be nobody in life. And the teachers, they told me, you're not going to be nobody in life. And the first time I went to the bank, because I left home with 17, and in 2 years I have a better home than my parents. I cannot say in this podcast doing what, but I always had a good mind to create things, And I remember I left home with 17 because I have my first job after they kicked me out of school, and then my mom told me, yeah, I'm not gonna give you any money if you want to leave, you want to do things, you need to make your money. So I found a job in a cafe, and I needed to go every morning in my scooter. I'm from Alicante in Spain. The winters are cold for me, very cold, maybe not for people from Germany, but for me they were very cold. And then I remember I get out of my job one day, and I seen a sign for rent of an apartment. And I called the woman. I was like, how much is it? It was pesetas in that time. This made me feel so old. It was 50,000 pesetas. And my salary was the double, but I'd even make a month, So I went to my boss and I said, will you give me all the money? I need to get paid this month. And he was like, for what? It was like, because I want to rent a house. I want to move there. and it was so funny for him that a kid of 17 years old, she wanted to. So I went home and I said to my mom, I'm moving to an apartment there. And she was like, what? She didn't believe me. And then I moved there. Like, I took my stuff and my parents were like, where are you going? You're going to come back? And my father told me, like, you're going to come back? I'm not going to open the door for you. I never came back. and but I remember going there and sitting on the couch of the house and saying, oh, I live alone. And they told me that was very difficult, you know? They told me it was very difficult to live alone, to pay your bills, it was like, oh, I live alone? I'm doing it. It's happening right now. And it was a click in my mind because I said, like, oh, they lied to me. They told me this was difficult. But it's not. I'm doing it. It's happening.
Here we are.
Yes. So I was like, in how many more things they lied to me?
Mm-hmm.
You know? And it was like, well, they told me I will not be anybody. But actually, if I'm not anybody, I can be everybody. You know what I mean? And then I was like, wow, I have a lot of space. And I felt the space, you know? From there, my life started to move into different characters. Depending what I wanted to do in the moment, you know? I had a real estate in Ibiza. I had my own brand of clothes. I designed clothes. I was a diving instructor for 6 years, and I had one of the big empire growing with in California that I always say like Shambhala was created with weed.
Yeah.
That I think is good vibe. And and yeah, I have this situation also when I was young where, you know, in some point I needed to pay some things to the bank and I didn't have the money. And the bank was calling me often for me to pay. I always answer because I hate when people owe you money and they don't answer, you know. So I was always answering and they were telling me, you need to pay us this money. I didn't have the money in that moment. It was one of these crises that happened in Spain many years ago. So in some point they told me, like, you need to ask the money to your parents. I was like, I don't have family to ask that money, you know, like I cannot do that. What can I do? Who I can speak? They said, like, go to the bank and speak with the director of the bank. So I went there and I said, like, look, they're calling me every day. I don't have money to pay you. Can I come in the evenings or in the afternoons and make some job here and I start to pay you, you know? So the guy of the bank, he started to laugh in my face. And I told him, like, okay. So he was laughing and I said, so I'm going to Thailand. He was like, what? I've never been in Thailand before, you know? He was like, what? I said, I'm going to Thailand. It was not that much money I own. I think it was 6,000 or 7,000 euros. Mm-hmm. But in that time, it will take the best years of my life working for them. And I was not giving, like willing to do that. I was not willing to give that, you know?
Thank you, but no thank you.
Yeah. So he told me, if you don't pay us that money, we will never give you money ever in your life. And I have a big feeling that they were making me a favor. So I left. And everything I did in my life, I said, well, I'm going to do it like my grandma, you know. I'm going to pay it with the money I'm going to do. And this is the way I've been doing it. Actually, I was seriously thinking and contact my teachers and this guy from the bank, you know, now that I'm building this amazing house.
I think you should. I think you should.
And tell them, thank you, you know, for don't allowing me to play that shitty game. Because I'm not saying, you know, kids at home, you need to study, whatever, you know. I'm not saying it's not worth it. I'm saying we learn in many different ways, and our values and our powers, you know, they develop in many different ways, you know. And the system is really putting us in cages, you know, that don't let us develop our bigger potentials, you know. That's the only thing I say.
Yeah, it's supposed to be individual, you know. Like at the end of the day, there was a sentence saying, like, if you're gonna judge a fish by how it climbs a tree, you know, then it probably won't be that good. But if the system was more towards creating smart individuals, it would have, you know, like put the right people at the right things that suits them. But we are pretty much getting born to be small screws in a big system that doesn't really care about us, you know? So
I see many tricks the more I invested my life into understanding how our potential, you know, it came here in the world to light the world in many different ways, that the system is a reflection of our own fear of our own light. You know, the system is a reflection that stops us in a very small corner of whatever we can give to the world. You know, and I don't like to blame specifically they, you know, when the people speak about they, because I don't think there is a they. I think there is, at the beginning when they started on the path of like a self-recognition through, as all of us, I think in Koh Phangan, this is what we have in common, this big curiosity to understand the ununderstandable. I went through all these things, to at the end understand that, I got lost.
I can just sit here and listen to you for forever, and you getting lost inside those things, It's like, there's so much to say, but the sentence that you said earlier about like when you choose to be no one, you can be everybody. That's a point that I'm trying to put across all the time, because you need to let go of this comfort zone that we get taught to just, you need a good salary and you need to find a partner and to do this and to do that, just in order to keep yourself safe from what? From discovering how much potential you do have in yourself. Like, why are those cages are happening, like especially in this kind of time that we live in, that everything is so out and people can just look in their phone how to get better, this. I'm getting lost as well,
What's going on?
Just having fun, I don't really.
Yeah.
I read your book.
Okay.
From start to finish.
Yes.
And that's the first time.
Thank you for that, by the way.
Come on. And this book, I think I learned a lot about you from this book. Because did you want to give us a little thing about your book?
Can I have it in my hand?
Absolutely.
Yeah. This is like a baby. It is, I don't know, for other people that write books, what is the experience, But have a book you write in your hands, for me, it's one of the most amazing experience I ever had, I always consider myself a writer, and I consider that words are my art. I found them fascinating. I found fascinating the fact that we can, through vibrations, try to express ourselves in a world where we are super, super lost, and feel a little bit connected, and put those words together and tell stories, even imagining, when I was a kid, I think I told you that I grew up my parents, they have the amazing idea to raise me in all people residence, So it was such a creepy environment, but it gives me a lot of curiosity about death, because people was coming and disappearing and going. They never sit with me to explain me. I needed to figure out all that, if it was not enough, life itself. Yes. But I started to write, but I used to write horror stories that now with the years, I understood that unconsciously I was putting in words all maybe the fear, all the mysterious of the place I was living, all the questions they were not answered. So this book is the effect of the cause that when I was a kid, I was very deep and I had many questions, and my environment didn't know how to understand me very good. Is this about dead people? That I learned since I was a kid to speak with analogies, Analogies are like the stories we use on tales, so the kids, they can understand what you are saying. So sometimes I really wanted to be understood, because I think that's one of the, biggest calls of my heart. Be understood through what I create. Be understood through what I say. Be seen or belong. I think there is something very biological behind of this that I learned to make analogies. So if I wanted to explain you something about something complicated, but you are I was so used, of adults looking at me what's going on with this kid, Or
she's broken.
Yeah. No, my mom used to say a lot it looks like she's possessed by somebody old, and things like that, And for me it was a simple thing. So I learned to say no, what I mean is what if the bird is in the top of the tree and this and that, and everybody was so I developed this capacity to explain things through stories, So I write some stories in my life, and in some point I was like, oh fuck, I'm good at this, you know. So one day I have like 3 or 4, and I decide to put them in a book, and I say like I'm gonna keep writing, but I wanted to make put it in a line that it makes sense, you know. So to me it was like how I can pick up abstract concepts that they are very difficult to explain and make stories with them from where I will start and from where I will finish, you know. So my book have 13 tales.
Amazing, beautiful stories.
Yeah, thank you so much. So the first one, it talks about unity, you know. So it's just at the beginning of the times, you know, when everything was one, and the unity is everything what it was on the universe. It was not even universe because everything was unity. So it got super bored to be
Everything
just being the
and
self,
nothing.
you know, and this paradox, misunderstood, you know. So it was, I'm gonna make it like again to experience myself, and you know how the tale continue, you know. I mean, we all know, and I guess we are all trapped on this. You know?
No escaping
Good
this
luck.
one.
Anyway, and then I have other concepts, you know, like ego, the shadow, the search. That is a very funny one too, you know. Is this fish, you know, that have many brothers and sisters, and he want to know what is beyond the place he lives. And then one day is in the cleaning station, and he listen to these tunas talking about that thing that surround us and is in all of us, you know, and we are all made of it, but nobody never seen, and it's called water, no? And the whole tale is about this fish looking for water, floating on the ocean, you know, and going to this place called Koh Phangan, is in Spanish, you know, and then going to a static swim, and
That was a good one.
yeah, and then repeating a mantra called gloop 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 gloop, and anyway, we are gonna be all reflected in that never-ending nonsense but fun search, you know, to realize that actually we have been floating there all the fucking time. And it finished with death. It finished with death, going to the psychiatrist of the non-duality and saying like, why nobody loved me? Why everybody loved my sister? You know? So I changed my black clothes, wear something more happy, you know, even if I like black because it matches with everything, you know. And the whole tale is about that understanding of there is not a difference between life and death. So these are my tales. They have a beautiful illustrations made by my friend Alejandra from Colombia. And it's these abstract concepts I invite people to understand in a more unconscious and childish way, you know. So that's something very important for me about this book also, is I don't think anybody should own perceptions about these topics, you know. We live in this era with everybody like to sit in front of mics and Instagram and everywhere, and we all play that we know the fuck we're talking about, and when we don't,
know shit.
yes. And then we see all these people that, you know, that maybe they didn't went through the experience, you know, and you know, for many years I studied a course in miracles, and course in miracles it says that you learn through what you teach, you know, but that have a little bit danger. Is like it's many people like saying that they have a truth that they really don't own. So this is just my perception, no? So I make a tale out of my story of it, and then I explain why I see it in that way, and then I make some questions that you can do to yourself to take a moment to reflect. But then I leave a white page so you can write what you feel about it, because I want to leave very clear, I don't own these concepts. This is the way I see it. I want to know the way you see it. And then it becomes a little bit a conversation between us, even with people I never seen before. And that is very exciting for me, you know?
That is exciting, you know, being able to, because those concepts are not mine or yours or anyone's, but the perception of a person that is living, and through analogies being able to show others a huge concept, but in a more, you can say funny, you can say nice, you can say story-wise, being able to understand those big concepts, is amazing.
I think we love to sit here and say like, I don't know, authenticity. And you say authenticity and we are like, yeah. But actually, maybe we're perceiving completely different things, And we have, I think, this willing inside of us to be understood, But I really like to go deep in the perception of the words. What this really mean for me, what this really mean for you, where are we meeting each other in this point, So this is my game in this book,
And how was the whole process of writing it?
So 3 of the stories, I write them like long time ago, and the rest, I write them in 2 years. I'm a very bad writer that sit and write every day. I'm very jealous when people tell me I'm a writer and just sit there and I write for 3 hours every day.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that with me. It works so much by inspiration, So maybe I don't write for 2 weeks and then one day something is happening and it's like, now,
Yeah.
And then I sit and I write the whole tale, That is like all my life, very improvised and like going in these waves of feeling, but that's the way I am, So when I finished to write it, I was speaking with a friend yesterday and he was like, I'm so happy that I finished my book, my first book. And it was like, you think you finished your book, I don't know, I'm still a baby in this process, This is my first book and I didn't have the time because I've been very busy with my company and other like business and situations to really put my energy into make it arrive wherever I want it to arrive, But I think it's a very vulnerable, at least in my case, process. Once you write it, you need to go through the process to put it out there, like show yourself in that level, make it in something you can touch,
it's physical.
A thing,
It's here.
You can open it and look at it, and for me it was such a process, and I know it's not my first book, I never had a job for long term in my life. Like when people come here and saying like, oh, I came from this matrix wall, I never had that program, I already come thinking all my life like I don't want to work for anybody. Why people work from 9 to 5? I always have it there, Like I always have jobs when I was younger, like short term, making some money to keep traveling and keep learning and keep, And when people used to ask me like, Rakel, what are you going to do when you get older? You're not getting anything for your retirement and things like that. And I was, I was traveling and doing things like my friends and the people around me, they were not doing when I was younger. And I always say like, I'm going to write a book with the amazing life I'm going to live. And I'm going to make a lot of money with it. And that is going to be my retirement. And I was 1,000% sure of that,
Yes.
And so I know it's not my last book. It's my first book, but it's not my last book. But it's very cute, and it's very me.
It is.
And the people that knows me, many people like write me or call me and told me like, oh, Rakel, it's like being having a conversation with me, and it's with you.
Your
and
energy is there.
Yeah, I think it's a very like it's an intimate experience with me without sitting with me.
100%. And
You're gonna put it back on the plate?
Absolutely. And for the entire book, like that I've read, I've had this stupid fucking smile on my face, like while reading it. I read like 6:30 a.m. Yeah. Come on. But something about it was just so perfect, because I understood. It's not like I needed to look for how to understand the stories or how to understand the analogy. It was so clear, the fact that you see those huge concepts and it looks like you just understand them completely. Which I know that what we see and what is going on in reality are two completely different things. Yeah, but also the fact that you're like, since being a young girl and you're like, oh, I knew. I didn't think it will happen. I didn't believe it would happen. I didn't hope it would happen. I knew it's going to happen.
Yeah, that's a gift I have.
That-
I know when something is gonna happen.
That knowing,
So yeah, like I discovered something not that long ago. I was doing a therapy with a woman in Spain, and she told me that I can have like high like attitudes, like some kind of like high IQ for some things. I have the capacity. I'm very, very sensitive person, so I'm receiving a lot of information around me. So I have the capacity to navigate deep into concepts and feel them, and put them like colors and sounds and stories, That can make my life sometimes a little bit like a complicated, or as you say, this spectrum, very, very, very high spectrum of feeling I have,
of emotions, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, But that is also, I think, what it helps me to be a good leader. The time I've been, in my projects, because I did many things in my life. I had so much fun understanding we create characters and creating new characters and saying like, this is the Rakel I am now. This is the Rakel I am now, because I find it very healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I find very healthy to be able to create new characters. But I always knew I was gonna do something that it was gonna be so big.
The super character.
The point is like, yes, from the material perspective, you create a super character that is very successful, but in the inner trip, that super character is gonna give you the biggest slaps on the face for
100%.
Because it's so easy to abandon or let go a non-successful character, but a successful character to say like, no, I'm not that either. It's been and it's right now a right. But this sensitivity, I think it's a problem we have in the modern world, that we need leaders that they're sensible, men and women. And because what happens when you are high sensitive is like you are able to take a lot of information, It's like a computer that have, like a lot of megabytes, and it's seeing a lot of things. And then you get all this information and you bring it deep in a place where you can take decisions that they are good for everybody. So that's what I do good.
Yeah. And you also, to be, as I see it, to be a conscious leader, a good leader, you need to look at your people and see yourself in it. See yourself in them, and like being able to experience the emotion, because you see so many bad leaders right now all over the place. That thinks about themselves and want things for themselves, and this selfishness and ego, and just being able to look at others and see yourself in them and understand that your actions have more impact than you think.
I think that's what's happening with the system. It's like it's a system that is making, if it is something good, to be very hard, and it's very difficult when you are from that very masculine perspective, to really connect with the needs of others, without abandoning yourself,
Yeah.
and look at the collective as a collective,
Yeah.
We're very far away system wise from that. But I tell you, in my very little experience, it's a must. It's a must. And of course, it's sometimes it's complicated, that sensitivity. With the years you learn what works for you or what. But it's a very powerful tool. It's a very powerful tool that gives you a lot of information. That for me, like for example, if I arrive to Shambhala, you want to know a little bit how I create Shambhala?
100%.
So if I write to Shambhala or
What is Shambhala?
Shambhala, it was a surprise of my life, because when I arrived to the island 9 years ago, because I was acupuncturist also for a while, so I arrived to the island. I wanted to have a bungalow on the beach, and I treat people once in a while. That was my plan.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems that the spirit of the island has another plan for me. And I remember I was looking for a house in Sitanu, and don't ask me why, but I had a map, you know, and it's not that long ago, you know. Like, map, one of these maps that you couldn't do it again anymore. So I was looking for a house in Sitanu because I thought it was the coolest place in the world when I arrived here. I have all these
Yeah,
ideas
who
that
didn't?
we're gonna change the world from here, from Koh Phangan. Look, all these conscious people. Yeah, sorry, my perception of this it changed a little bit in the last years.
Maybe just a little bit.
Just a little bit. But I remember like looking for houses and stopping in front of Shambhala, and then opening my map and then looking. I was like, no, this is so far from the hippies. I want to go close to the hippies. And that was my vision.
They're dirty.
Yeah. Like, I didn't belong to it. I belong to the middle path between Tonsala and Sitanu. That was me, you know. The island put me in my place in the middle path. But I didn't know in that moment. But I looked to the left and I seen this house. I couldn't see it so much because it was a lot of like jungle around. And this is a true story, you know. I entered the path, very like a dirt road, very difficult. And I arrived to the door and I started to look. And this Thai guy came through the jungle and he offered me his hand. And I gave him the hand, you know. And then he bring me inside. He didn't say nothing, and we start to walk. And it was a really like a crazy place, you know. To enter on the house, you need to cross like a little like water pond. Everything was so destroyed, but I could see the similarity with a temple. And it was the map of a treasure drive on the floor. In the shala, it was a chess upside down, you know, that somebody was used to play their chess, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It to me, it looks like I don't know, like a crazy place. Who was there? Who was doing those things, you know? So I called the telephone, and the woman told me, like, I will only rent it to you if you rent 1 year in advance. She asked me for a very cheap price. And in that moment, I thought, like, I'm going to pay it, and maybe I will do something with this place, you know? So I paid, and I bought 10 liters of white paint, and I spent, like, months painting there, you know? Yeah. And then my initial idea was to create a center where people can come and exchange, like, healing and therapies and philosophies by donation. But that was the first time I discovered that Koh Phangan was not the place. I thought it was in that level. People was coming to yoga classes and giving 20 bahts, you know, and I was losing all my money. And then I started to look around, and I realized in that time it was Olisa Makaruna, Orion. We were 4 or 5 schools. They were doing these yoga teacher trainings, and I was like, that's bullshit. Who can become a yoga teacher in a month? You know, that's no way, you know. So we did one. And then I start to find out the magic of it, you know.
Of yoga.
I was practicing yoga for a long time. The yoga teacher training, it was something that I had a lot of resistance about, if I'm honest with you. But then I discovered that many of my students, from where they are coming from, they still need to think they are receiving something they can touch and they can understand with their minds to come.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a trick. I'm just tricking them to come so they can sit with themselves for a moment. You know, that's what I discovered.
Yeah.
The yoga teacher training is just like a mermaid song for your mind. So you will come and sit with your fucking self for a moment, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, you will learn. We use the ancient like philosophy of yoga, you know, and it's a very powerful path.
Yeah.
But we could use anything. You know, it's that the place where we're going. I always say the same. You know, like it's like we're putting our best soil and our best sun and our best, you know, ingredients. If only one flower opens, that's a party for the whole garden.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
that's what we do. What we use, it doesn't matter. You know, you just do your best, and this is what we have been doing. So it was coming from, you know, a real call of the heart to create a community that start to grow and grow and grow. And from that girl that painted a house by herself like 7 years ago, now we have like 6 schools around the world, like more than 60 people working on the project, and a very big thing that had, I hope, positively affected the life of more than 4,000 humans this year.
That's
So
beautiful. Like, where in the world it's located, the schools?
we have in Spain, we have Cádiz, Alicante, 2 in Tenerife, 1 in Portugal. We just closed another one. And Thailand right now. Yeah, but we make courses in Mexico, in Colombia, in many places. Like, actually, I think in some point during COVID, I was the only school doing retreats in the world. Yeah,
That's big.
it was very big, and I think it was the thing that pushed me, because to me, my place was in Koh Phangan, and that was what I have. I have a school here that I have a lot of work to do. Manage a place, mostly in this environment. Very organic. La Casa Shambhala, it's a permaculture project. It started with a permaculture project, so when we built it, we did everything in cycles that continue. The water that people use to shower, it goes to the gardens, and so for me, it's a kind of an inspiration of people's paths too. For me, it was like, oh, this is my place. But when COVID happened and we all got stuck here for a while, and all the business, they were closed, and I was one of the only people in my surroundings that I have work permit, and everything was legal for me. So I went to my lawyer and I said, like, I want to go traveling. I was like, you're crazy.
Yeah.
Girl,
How
where are you
would you
going? You go traveling where? I was like, I want to see with my eyes what's happening in the world. I don't want to stay here listening.
Yeah.
So I started to travel country to country. I never been in a lockdown. And when I arrived to Mexico, I was like, well, it's fucking free here, like you didn't need anything to. So one day I was in my van in a lake. I was like, I'm gonna try to put a retreat now. And my boyfriend was like, retreat? Who's making retreats now? And I was like, let's try, In 2 months I have 21 people. I never had 21 people here, So it was like, let's put retreats every month and see what happened. It was very sensitive moment,
Like
people
online, or like physical.
Essential people was coming from states, people, and it was very strong, because people was opening in a very sensitive moment, and we were gathering there with all the risks that involve, like people get COVID or whatever bullshit was happening that moment. We were like offering those spaces, of connections and hope and expression,
Self-exploring, like some.
So then I discovered that actually what I do, I can do it in many other places, and I play the game of expansion, and I played pretty good, I guess, And that's the story.
So we're going from yoga schools, okay, to a girl that from the first moment she lived was conscious. I'm usually asking my guests, like, when was the first time you got connected to your consciousness of actually being, seeing things as because when we are young, you just play automatic what people are like teaching you to do. Mm-hmm. So you follow your parents and you follow your teachers, and it sounds that
luckily I didn't.
And it sounds like your consciousness, your active consciousness, the consciousness that you are aware of, was always there.
Mm-hmm. I think some of us, we're going all to some upgrades. Some of us, we come with some information. For me, it never makes sense why I come from a family that they never been curious about anything or traveling. But it's something I see in common with many people here on the island. And I could take it in 2 ways. When they told me you're not gonna be able to do anything, I could think like, oh fuck, there is something wrong with me, But that's how this therapist told me, like, the way you think, the way you take what happened and you make alchemy into bringing it. That's different. That's different. But I didn't have any like a spiritual call or vision beyond that. I have a strong fire on me for creation,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew nothing would stop me, but I didn't have any curiosity for deeper in who I was,
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't have anything to reflect on in my life. But when I was 19, my first love died. you know. And I think these experiences are gifts of the life, so you can awaken sometimes, you know. So that was the first time, you know, I start to ask to myself. I got stuck in a point where I was asking to everybody like, yeah, he died, but where is him? And then people around me, it was like, he's dead, Rakel. It was like, yeah, but where is him? You know. So I start to get into this spiral, and in some points, sometimes something start to answer in a very beautiful, codified way, and I follow the call. So that's what was my first awakening. That I always say that's the most beautiful of all the awakenings. Is the first one when you realize I'm so much more than what I've been told, and then you're like, wow, you know, like. What is this, you know? And then
Everything
you start
is
to receive all
possible.
these synchronicities or whatever. All of us, I guess we experience it in the... But then you need to walk your shadows too, you know?
Yeah, I got myself in couple of situation that I was like, oh yeah, I discovered everything positive about myself and I know what to do and this, but while I'm all about positivity, you know, there's a term I like to call it like toxic positivity, when you are so into this positivity that you're suppressing everything that is dark in your life, and then slowly but surely you're losing your balance, you know, because the balance is not being like a horse that looks only straight towards happiness and like I want to be balanced, I want to be happy, I want to feel fulfilled, I want everything that I want to happen, and like no, take a couple of years, man, dive into your darkness, allow yourself to feel, get this emotions that like, okay, the demon is not as bad as you think it is. It might look very big and it might feel very scary because you have all these intentions and thoughts in your brain that is like, okay, what happens if this doesn't go well or that doesn't go well, or you always imagine the worst. Like, I know that's how my mind is working. I don't know.
I think it's the expansion of a very initial idea that is how can I be loved in the environment I'm, you know, let's say the hypothetical theory, you know, that we really are so much more than what we can see in this physical level, and then suddenly we show up in a very limited family structure, and it's such a terrifying experience, you know. And then you just want to be held somehow, you just want to be loved, you just want to be seen, and then you are gonna adapt yourself no matter what and suppress no matter what you need to do and label your full life that it doesn't have any meaning beyond
What
the
you
one
give
we give
it.
to it,
Yeah.
in order to be loved. That's it's not a big deal at the beginning. But, you know, after 30 years, it can become a little bit tricky, you know?
At some point.
That's the point. That's the point. So, of course, you know, a puppy under the bed is a puppy under the bed. A puppy 30 years under the bed is a monster that is asking for the same love, you know? But it's gonna require so much more, like, bravery. But it's the same puppy that it was before, you know. We just wanted to be seen. We just wanted to be seen, you know. And to me, to remind that because after looking, you know, many people ask me, like, with all your travels, you know, and everything you look and everything you study and practice and this and that, you know, like, what you discover is that we don't have fucking idea of anything, and we need to be good with that.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
And we need to be good with that. So, like, we label, you know, all these, like, emotions, and with the time, that it becomes more solid, as if it's real.
Yeah.
And it makes us avoid it, because the only reason behind, and if we go to the origin of it, we're going into, first, I'm not going to belong, I'm not going to be loved because I'm a sad person, or I'm a angry person, or because this was not embraced in my environment, but everything is going to the same place. I'm gonna die, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna belong, I'm gonna die. I have this idea that I show up in this world as a body that is very vulnerable, and I'm gonna die. How can I somehow avoid this, So that's the part of the book on the tale that's and all these experiences we have been going like lately on the island too, that actually we never will be able to live fully, trying to read between lines of this, very unexplainable wall. Like we are really trying to learn how to live when we actually, so we should learn how to die, Drop the mic.
Yeah, but it's exactly that, like being able to just understand the fact that you're like, this experience is not happening for it to be perfect. It's not happening for us to have this race towards the end, because the end is death. And like I got familiar with death.
You know it? I don't know.
Like
who fucking knows?
it started when I was born, and it will probably end when I die.
How you know you were born?
I know nothing. I can only guess.
I don't know. I should trust my mom in this now.
I got to understand the fact that like the more I think I know, the less I actually know, because the more I think I know, the bigger the box I locked myself in, and the harder it will be for me to get out of it. So by me just putting my hands up, raising a white flag and just saying, I know nothing. I don't want to know anything. I don't want to think anything. I want to experience. I want to be here as fuck, I got stuck. As a student of life, as a person that is here just to not have any like opinion or on anything, just being able to look at the situation I am for what it is, not bringing my past experiences into it, because I got really connected to what you said about creating the person that you are right now, because I can choose to wake up every morning and go back to who I was yesterday, and like relay on everything that I learned yesterday, which can be a good thing from time to time. But I can wake up one day as a new person and just understand and tell myself that whatever I learned yesterday that is not serving me, I don't need to keep it in my system. I can just let it go. Because most of the pain that we experience comes from holding things too tight. And the moment you just let go, you can just be, without thinking who you are, without judging yourself or others, without. It's so good to know that there are people over there like yourself,
like you too. But if you judge yourself, it's okay, and if you are angry, it's okay, and if you that's the point. It's I think it's a lot of pressure on us and to be spiritually impeccable beings, when it actually, it becomes very difficult, because at least when I didn't know I was creating all this shit, I could blame others, So I think we need an enormous amount of self-compassion, that it will help us to be more compassionate with others, because we're gonna keep falling. Maybe we have been falling for millions and millions and millions of years. We don't know, And I think we have stages in our life. I see people that they control these things, But I don't believe in the concept of enlightenment as I used to see it, And I think it's very dangerous, and you need to be very aware about the trap that is behind the Western concept of enlightenment, because they have a lot of denial of life. It requires suppression, a lot of suppression, and it's saying with beautiful words that some things we feel, they are not right to be feeling, So if you ask me about how I see that concept right now, I will stand up for full authenticity and really show who we are, because we give the opportunity to people around us to do the same,
Yeah, but Who are we?
What I mean in the moment, when we are going through things, because I can read sometimes, in the human interaction, and I try to explain to friends sometimes the way I see it, because it's very funny, and it's like, come on, we just show up in this body, one day, since we remember, and they told us that we were born, but we didn't even know if we were born. We can disappear in any time. We have the perception that we are in the head, but we don't really know where we are, We are interacting with each other. At the same time, we have like a radio saying random things like all the time there. And then we meet each other and we're like, how you doing? I'm doing super good. It's like,
Yeah.
no, it's normal that, this is crazy. This is a fucking trip, Like, And then it's like, oh, I have it under control. No, you don't have nothing under control.
The fact that you think it's under control.
We are doing our best, and we can try to find joy in the game of it, And I guess we all find our very personal tools to deal with it,
Yeah, and the fact that, like, at the end of the day, like we said, I honestly 100% think that, like, the only meaning life has is the meaning we give it. And, like, by me giving this...
If you ask me what we are, if I can tell you only one thing...
Only one thing.
Meaning machines.
Yeah.
Like that one.
Just creating again and again
because,
and again.
Nothing have meaning till we give it to it.
Exactly.
So we're meaning machines. Giving meaning to things and experience them in the way we are like, what a game, What a game. So why I would like to be one person,
When
it's
you
like
can
if
be
you go to the
everything.
theme park and you want to go to the roller coaster all the time,
Yeah.
Maybe it's the best roller coaster in the world, but no, I want to jump in all the attractions, Analogy there.
100%, and it's all it's so right, the fact that you experience yourself as one person, okay, no problem. You have fun with it, no problem. But what about discovering what the entire spectrum holds? Because when you look at yourself as this thing, and I'm fixated that this is me, you're looking at 1% out of the 360 degrees that you have of the human experience, of what it means to be a human. And it's just a waste.
I can feel both of the parts, the material life, for example, in the experience I had right now in this like successful businesswoman, whatever, So it's like the material world, from the part of like success, and it's like, oh, it's very nice to experience this, And then there is this other part that is like, hey, don't get stuck on that. Don't believe that.
Yeah.
So we're navigating between like external and internal world, or at least in my case,
Even if it's fully positive, which that is what is interesting about it, because it's not only like you're giving up on the bad characters.
No.
You can also give up on the good ones.
Because they're characters. That's the point.
Exactly.
If you're making a movie and they give you the guy that is like gonna explode the wall and whatever, have a super like malicious plan, it's okay. It's a character. It doesn't matter, And then you need to give it up because you want to play other things, So my excitement to be my projects growing is only comparable to the excitement I have inside to let everything go and open the space to whatever it comes,
Yes.
So that's why I don't want to belong. I'm playing this now, Like actually right now I'm playing like the woman that is letting go that character, But for me it's so important to know that I'm playing, To know that I'm playing. And what a fun game, I tell you. What a fun game. I will not change an inch of it, In my case, maybe I got this perception of life that is like, oh, it's all about experience so clear that I went through it fucking to the full. Yes. Yeah, and sometimes it's like, oh my God, Raquel. But I have this fantasy that I don't know if the day we leave the world the way we know it. I hope I can see a movie, like a fast one, you know. I hope. I always think that. I hope I'm gonna have pop, images, you know, of everything I put my heart to live to the full. Because I tell you, if the boss give me that, the day I'm leaving, I will be like, fuck yes, you know. You know, like with this music that is like the end of the movie, like dun, dun, and I like, bye
Thank
guys,
you,
know?
bye-bye. And it's like there is one word that you keep saying like here and also at past talks that we have, which is alchemy.
Alchemy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't ask you what you mean by alchemy when we talked like at a lot of different occasions, because what is alchemy for you?
Alchemy is our capacity to bring any information experience to a point where we can make our magic and transform it in something else, you know? So the way I see life, or the way I choose to live life, now because we are in an honest and authentic space, I feel a little bit out of my center. I mean, we talk about it, and you know, but it's how beautiful, you know, to get out of your center to create
to just
new
experience this
centers.
fear.
Yeah, I'm so far and proud of not being perfect, you know.
As you should.
So the way I see life, and the rhythm I like to experience it, I like to see life like a inhaling and exhaling, you know. So that's why I travel a lot too, because I inhale a lot in my traveling, you know. I receive, because the way I see it is like we are impregnated in everything we see in the world, you know. So I'm extremely curious, you know, about the way we live, we eat, nature express, you know, because I get a lot of like of it, you know. So I inhale and inhale and inhale, and then I take that inside of me and I transform it in something. So my projects, my books, my ideas, they come from that, from the taking all this inspiration and put it in a place and making alchemy with it, and then I exhale, you know. And I excel a project, I sell an idea, and I excel whatever. But I'm taking one material and making it another one and give it back to the world, you know. So that's my theory about the problem with the people in general. This is a very general thing, but I'm gonna say it anyone in Koh Phangan, no? Because when I arrived here, as I told you, I really thought like, well, fuck, we're gonna change the world from here. Look all these like very aware people with. You know, talking all these very common sense things that they really look that they are committed, what they are bullshit. But
I didn't say it.
Yeah, okay. So regular Koh Phanganer, ice bath, self-evolution, workshop, go to bamboo, do this, do that, and some people are like. And they're like, I'm not feeling good. I think I need to go to Chiang Mai to an ashram. Or maybe I need to go and do a vipassana. And it's like, what? You don't fucking exhale.
Just let it out.
Fucking exhale. Give something to others. Find the beauty, you know, into giving to others, because you are not understanding nothing as when you say we are all one. You are not treating people as if you are one. You know, it's like your actions are talking, you know.
So far from what you actually stand for, you know.
You know what I mean? So, like, I know it's so easy to fall in the mental trap that you can keep healing and healing. I've been seeing people 8 years in the same healing spiral. When it's over? When it's over?
When are you gonna be healed?
Yeah, when you don't go to a place where people, you know, like they will appreciate, you know, most of my students, and I know some people is like, that is not yoga. How you can say that? Yeah, most of my people, they never did yoga in their life, or they did a little bit of yoga, and you know, that's the people that really get a lot of like effect in what they are practicing, you know, like if you have been sitting in silence all your life, sitting 1 more hour is gonna make a difference, but not a lot. But if you never sit in your life, you can really make a big difference in the life of that people. Go back to your country and share that what you learn, instead being here in a big competition to see who is the more like flexible, spiritual, knowledgeable person ever, but I understand that living in Koh Phangan is very cool,
Yeah, because we do it.
Yes, yes. So alchemy is a beautiful word, Alchemy is our beautiful capacity to also convert sorrow into gold.
Yeah,
Like
I heard it.
24K, like if it's more, so more, like a diamond.
Give me all the case.
Like all the case. Give me all the case. Yes, that to me is one of our superpower. Take whatever is happening in your life and make it gold. That's human alchemy. What's the goal you can get out of whatever life is giving to you. That's alchemy for me.
If you could have if there's anyone 20 years old out there that feels misfit, that feels they don't belong, that feels down, that is feeling these feelings of depression and anxiety, and like, what would you tell them?
To feel it. And and usually when somebody feel like that, is because they need to change things in their life. Like actions in their character. We build characters so solid that they take all the power of our life. So if there is something I seen in all this time, like learning like how mind works and all these kind of things, is that sometimes you just need to turn around your life like a sock, and start again. Like so I will tell to that person, it's different topics, to say depression and anxiety
Of
and
course.
and misfit and all this, but they are all coming from the same origin. There is something in the character you build that is like is taking your joy for living, and I know because I've been there like last week, but so it's like, what, this need to change. I'm not enjoying this game anymore, It's like, I don't know why adults we do this thing. If you go to a school and you see kids playing, they're like, oh, let's play, I don't know, whatever the kids they play, and then they start to play, and when they are not having fun anymore, they stop playing,
Mm-hmm.
and they play something else, or they don't fucking play, Adults, we don't. We start to play a game, and we just keep playing it. It doesn't matter if it's boring, if we're not having fun, if it's making us feel like shit. That translates.
Why are we doing this?
Why are we doing it? Because we get so attached to that character we build in a false safety, because we're so scared. We're so scared of dying that false safety of the character we will, it make us feel that we are really know what we are doing here. And then we renounce to heaven to defend an idea. That's what we do.
And with that, I want to thank you for this one, because we can do 6 more hours, and I just really want to emphasize like how big of a part you have in my life right now, and how much appreciative I am for you. And I know you've changed so many lives already, and there are so many lives that are going to be changed because of you. People that are close to you. No pressure. Knowing people that are close to you, and people that
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's the kind of connection I like.
You have something to you. And I don't want to name it with names, because it's again closing it in a box, but the energy that you got and the energy that you created, it's something that it's one of one. And seriously, just
thank you. I feel very seen. I feel very appreciated, and I'm very grateful with this podcast just for connecting us after like long time living like in close houses,
Yeah.
and now being able to call you my friend is an honor. Yeah, I have so much fun doing this with you. I love you.
You're amazing. I love you too. See you.
Okay, bye.
Join the journey, stay for a while.